Matt, I know you got editing duty this week. I don't care if you edit 1 second out of this. Out of the episode we just recorded with Ryan, it'll be our longest episode, I think, with a guest for sure. And I couldn't care less. I
I'm
deliberately made my bad cop main moment short because I had a feeling we were going to run excessively long. And I think we did. I think it's probably going to be close to about an hour 40, right? Hour 45, something like that.
along those
Oh,
lines.
it's
Bear in
probably a
mind,
little bit out at the start, but yeah.
there's also a bit in the middle where you have to go and answer the door.
Oh, I did. You know what? That was perfect timing because I was just about to speak and I was like, "Did you hear that?" And you were like, "Yeah, we heard it." So I was like, "All right, pause it." That if that had been in the middle, that could have like totally broken up the continuity of something. But hey, it worked out fine. Hey, I just realized you're gonna get to celebrate my birthday with me as well. I celebrate on British time, so we're recording on Friday evening. So I always start my celebration 7 p.m. American time because that would be officially my holiday and officially my birthday in Britain. So we only got
Yes,
well, assuming we can manage to talk for 9 minutes. I know you're tired, so
I'm shattered. But how does it feel being 50?
I'll tell you in a few years' time. How about that?
Well, you can tell me right now if you want.
I wouldn't be able to do that because I
You were
don't know.
born in 19, you were born in 1971, Graham, weren't
You were
you?
about to say 1990 for a second. You got totally messed up.
I'm very tired.
I was not born in 1971, no. But I did have this is the most offensive comment I've ever had from somebody. When I first moved to North Carolina, so I was around 25 at this time, and I can't remember the exact reason it came up. I don't know if one of the astronauts had died or whether it was the 35th anniversary of the moon landings or whatever it was, or Neil Armstrong was 100. I don't remember the significance. And the head teacher said to me, so, what do you remember about when the man first walked on the moon? And I had to say, not only was I not born at that point, like, she must have assumed that if you have memories, you're probably like 4 or 5 years old, right? So she must have assumed that I was born 4 or 5 years prior to 1969. So she must have assumed that I was at least 10 years older than I actually was. And this was when I was 25. So I was very offended by that one. But hey,
I think you have told me that before.
yeah,
That's
it
very
kind of still
funny.
stings.
That's very funny.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about something that Ryan brought up right at the end. I was going to say, the comment that didn't come out from it though was originally my moment last week, but I didn't have a chance to research it. Was Mayday talked about? So I also mentioned Mayday in this week's episode. I think it's Scott Demore, the person over at Impact.
Yes.
He actually talked about on an interview that it looks like Impact is actually going to be the first organization to have an all women's division. So the question was kind of like, I wanted to do that as my unsure moment. And that's actually what I was going to ask you now. Should that be our bonus cop moments now? Should that be our bonus material? What we used to have as our unsure moments? Because I've had something that's unsure for the last few weeks, and I just kind of twisted it to a bad cop. So that
I've
was
got.
one of the things I was going to ask you.
You can by all means, Graham. I mean, we can talk about whatever we want on this section, as
So
we know.
yeah, so I don't know. Is it a good? So basically, the comment came out. I think I actually wrote down the tweet. Yes, Mick Foley posted on Friday afternoon. Dear Vince, an all-women's brand needs to happen in at AEW unless you want at AEW to beat you to the punch. Sincerely, Mick at Vince McMahon. And Gail Kim actually responded, or maybe at Impact Wrestling will. And actually, that story precedes his comment by at least a week. So I actually think it would be not necessarily a bad thing for Impact to do. I think Impact needs something to try and stand out and do something different. My only concern, though, is are Impact Wrestling fans ready for just an all women show? I'm not sure if the wrestling fans are. I think indie fans would be far more receptive of that than Impact fans would be right now, unfortunately.
Hmm. Um. Well, we've seen, as Ryan mentioned briefly on main show, which is coming out on Sunday, of course.
Yep.
He did mention, of course, that Stardom is an all-in promotion in Japan, of course,
Mhm.
and that does very well.
Yeah.
So it's possible, although an all-women's brand with an all-women's company, that's two different things entirely. As we've mentioned many times, when we went to WrestleMania and had the women main event, it was not well received by a lot of people in attendance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yet, Bianca and Sasha main eventing, everyone loved it.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, even only 2 years later, yeah, big change, sure.
But do you think it's because they they didn't ram it down our throat beforehand. We just knew how important it was.
Could be. Could be. The other organisation I would throw out there as well, as it's going to happen tomorrow as well, as we're recording right now, Mission Pro Wrestling. That's been very well received. Thunder Rosa's organisation down in Texas. They've had, I think, nearly 10 events now, and they have been really impressive. I am genuinely excited to watch them, and whenever possible, I try and watch them live. Normally, I'm okay. Like, I don't mind watching indie events a few days after, because I'm not getting spoilers anyway, particularly. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, Mission Pro is one I try and watch live whenever possible. But yeah, no, so there is definitely a market. But like I say, is it just more the indie crowd who are more receptive than perhaps the mainstream wrestling? I don't know. Still not sure.
Mission Pro is probably the perfect way to start on that side of things. I mean, Thunder Rosa does a great job. I mean, that's why a lot of people follow us to take over the AEW Women's Division and actually write it better, give them more time. But will it ever happen? I don't know. You have to ask Mr. Khan on that, I suppose. At the end of the day, even though he bought the even he created the company with his daddy's money, and the phase that he did, I don't care what they say. It's not Tony Khan who bankrolled it; it's his dad.
Yeah. I guess the other difference is for indie shows, it's once a month. That's very different than having a once a week show because you've got to put out 4 times as much content. So you can kind of build that tension a little bit more. You can not have those matches as frequently, but if you had it every week, suddenly you've got to start repeating matches at some point. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that is if how that would work exactly, but hey.
Fair enough, sir.
All right, what you got to chat about?
I'm quite happy is a strong word. Obviously, I got my second COVID jab this last week, so I was happy about that. But it's really taking it out of me at the moment. I'm feeling being a bit tired, which is how I felt when I had COVID. So technically, it's my third batch of antibiotics. I'm going to get antibodies, not antibiotics. So yeah, I'm well dosed up. And of course, the UK rolled out over 2/3 now of UK have had their first dose, which is incredible. Incredible. And I think 1/3 have now had their second dose, which is equally amazing. And it rolled out today to everyone 40 and over, and 90% of people 45 and over have had the jab. 90% of 45 plus. That's ridiculously good. Obviously, it's going well. The vaccination campaign continues at pace in America as well, which is why people are talking about.
I was just looking at the figures because I was just thinking. I think it's pretty sure it's Biden's 100th day in office today, and I'm just looking. Apparently, that's true. 200 million vaccine shots. So I think here actually anyone who's over 18 now can request the vaccine. They might have to wait up to a month possibly or something, but yeah, it's incredible numbers in both of our countries.
Yes,
I certainly didn't think it would happen anywhere near as quick as this. Certainly when it looked like it at the start of the year. I know for us, transitioning from one president to another has definitely been significant in that happening as well. I don't think it would have been anywhere near as quick otherwise, but yeah.
Absolutely. This is a true success story for the politicians who are in power currently. Although one would argue that in this country, down to the NHS, not so much the politicians who are running it, which I will agree with quite happily. I didn't vote for people in power; they just are the ones that are in power now.
Yep.
But the numbers that were out today, we've got less than 1,500 people in hospital with COVID now, which is. I remember the number being 65,000.
Yeah.
And going up, that was as well. And thousands of people a day dying from it. Thousands. And that was terrifying. Especially when me and Chris laid up with it. I was worried that we might have become another stat on that list at one point.
Sure.
And now we are a stat on the list on the vaccinated side of things. So I don't mind being better part of those stats. Don't mind that at all. Today, and as of recording, unfortunately 15 people passed away, but COVID is no longer the biggest killer in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's got to level so much now that they're starting to do the pilot events to see people getting back. Today they're hosting a nightclub in Liverpool with 3,000 people in attendance, no distancing, no masks.
Oof, that
But
seems very that
but
seems very soon.
but to enter, you must produce a lateral flow test, which has been done at a test center. You can't do it at home. You must do it at a test center. And if you're
Yeah.
negative, you can enter.
Oh,
And afterwards, 5 days later, you must do a PCR test, which
okay.
is the full test. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. If this is clearly the way forward for the time being, and I don't think anyone will mind that because the lateral flow is so simple. It's
Mm-hmm.
so simple, and it's getting more and more accurate as well.
Yeah.
And obviously, with everything that's good, obviously, then you also look at the stuff that's bad, and Brazil and India are still bad. India's health
India's has spiraled out of control.
is
Like in the
collapsed.
last 30 days, or probably more accurately, 45 days, it's gone from almost zero to 3,000. Like for mathematicians, the exponential graph, it just demonstrates. It's just like fairly. It was had a little spike, which like every country did, but then it just went down and was low, 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 and then just suddenly it just went straight. And yeah, that's really
Yeah,
worrying.
that is a prime example of why we can't not be alert. We can't take the foot off the gadget. We're not there yet. India hadn't finished vaccinating, and they opened things up properly.
Not for
And
a country that size. They got over 1 billion people. That's going to take that's going to take a fair while to
yeah,
do.
they opened up way too early, and unfortunately, they are paying the price now. And no, you can't exactly blame. If you look at that, you look at Brazil, and you think like maybe they did the right thing by locking down places. I know it's hurt economies, but economies can recover if you've
Hmm.
got people to do it.
Yeah. Depends what you value more, whether you value the money or the people. And we've definitely got to see the true side of certain groups of people during this.
We have, but we've also got to see a lot of people who have been amazing through this pandemic, and certain people finding new callings, and that's been wonderful to see. I mean, not least, obviously, the various podcasts which have sprung up
Yeah.
to help with mental health reasons and have just been a good distraction, keeping people focused on something to look forward to.
Mhm.
Obviously, Good Cop Bad Cop was massively helpful to me and to you, Graham. I'm pretty sure as
Yeah.
well
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
last year. Um, Obviously, our boys who do the Pipe Bomb Show podcast, they had no interest in podcasting, and then the
Huh.
pandemic happened, and
Yeah.
they now love it. So it can be greatly effective. Know if you're gonna roll your eyes. Dungeons and Junkies has helped everybody involved in that show so much. Caitlin and Ailey, prime example, they've got. They won't mind me saying this. They've a bit of anxiety, and actually a lot of social anxiety. Alex, when he started doing Game Junkies, he couldn't even be in the same room as 3 or 4 people. And
Mm.
we went to EGX, and he was running up to people, interviewing people. He was talking to people, and he's a different person now thanks to podcasting.
Mhm.
Podcasting can really help socially and can really help mentally. Anyone who does otherwise does not know what they're talking about.
The only part I would roll my eyes is for the post that I made again, my advertising that I get on Facebook, and it was for some Dungeons and Dragons ice cube maker that was the related Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, "Curse you, Matt Willis! This is on you
And
again."
no, you tagged Dungeon Junkies, and by doing so, you had the Dungeon Junkies account say, yeah, sure, blame Matt, Alex, Kerry, Ailey, Chad, and Caitlin. Yeah, it's our fault for your search history.
I searched one time. That was it. And now I think it's the phone. It hears me talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, I know he's supposed to be switched off right now, but I don't believe it for 1 second.
Don't blame us for your search history.
All right,
You could clear cookies, dude.
all right, I'm gonna do a little experiment. Okay, do you want to pick a wrestler, just a random wrestler? Pick a random wrestler from AEW. Don't pick one like I'm super. You know the two that I really like. Don't pick them. Pick somebody else.
Pick someone from AEW that you don't really know, yeah?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. Give me one moment to quickly look at the roster and find someone obscure.
I don't have to be obscure, but There's plenty of regular people on there who I wouldn't normally mention.
Okay.
See if anything comes up.
Danny Limelight.
All right, yeah, I really like Danny Limelight. I know he appeared on RJ's podcast as well, so I actually recommended him to another group because he said he was doing podcasts for anybody. I've actually seen Danny Limelight on a few indie shows as well. He was on one that Thunder Rosa was on as well. So yeah, Danny Limelight's really good. I know he has a young daughter as well, so he's kind of a really good role model as well. So Danny Limelight, I'd like to go see him at some show. I wonder if there's any tickets for any shows involving Danny Limelight. Perhaps I might get a Danny Limelight T-shirt from Pro Wrestling Tees. All right, I'll update you next week, Matt. Let you know how it went.
Please do, Graham. I don't think it will because you haven't typed it.
You think it's got to be typed? See, I've heard people say it's because they've talked about it though as well.
No,
so is that people just misremembering? Like they said, they talked about they were thinking of getting a cat, and then suddenly they get advertising for cat products.
No, if they're thinking about getting a cat, they actually looked at it for a moment or two.
Okay, so they just forgot that they did it. All right.
People are way too paranoid. People are way too paranoid about that stuff, Graham.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna say I only literally searched for Dungeons and Dragons one time. That was it. That one fact, and that was it. And it comes up all the time. But we talk about it on this podcast. So I don't know. We'll see.
You are also talking about it on YouTube right now, Graham. Let's not forget about that.
I guess so.
And that's Google. So
hey, we need to finish. I know it's way past midnight where you are, and it's my birthday. I'm already 7 minutes in, and I haven't had any birthday cake yet. So I don't actually have birthday cake, but I have ice cream that's called birthday cake flavor. So, and I'm sure JJ is watching his Minecraft YouTube videos right now. So I'll go and see if he wants some ice cream as well. I'm gonna go celebrate with the little guy.
Well, from this side of Atlantic to you, sir. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
We're out of here.
Boom.